Hello, welcome to the Grow Your Wealthy Mindset podcast, where it is all about helping amazing physicians just like you create a wealthy life free from burnout and with the financial security to practice medicine on your own terms. I'm your host, Dr. Elisa Zhang. Welcome to the 200th episode of the Grow Your Wealthy Mindset podcast. That's 200 unique episodes published weekly over the last 4 years. That to me feels like quite an achievement. If you've listened to all 200 episodes, then you have truly learned a lot, not only about personal finance and investing, but also about increasing happiness in your life. If this is your first episode, I encourage you to check out past episodes. There is truly a wealth of information, along with some thought-provoking questions in those episodes. When I started brainstorming what to do for this milestone episode, I went back and listened to episode 100, Defining Wealth. And honestly, I really enjoyed it. It captured a lot of what I truly think it means to be wealthy. Today, I'd like to talk about the difference between being rich and being wealthy. Of course, people have a lot of different ideas of what it means to be rich and what it means to be wealthy. To get a sense of how this is commonly defined, I did a quick Google search for what does it mean to be rich versus wealthy. Google's AI-generated summary described it this way. Rich people have high incomes and spend heavily on luxury lifestyle, often living paycheck to paycheck. Wealthy people possess significant assets and investments, focusing on long-term financial independence. Essentially, being rich means having money to spend, while being wealthy means having assets that generate money. Google search also listed a number of blog posts and articles on financial websites. Different sources said it in different ways, but the theme was remarkably consistent. IIFL Capital Services said, being rich means having a lot of money right now, while being wealthy means having sustainable financial resources. On SoFi's website, it says, being rich typically means having a lot of possessions and material wealth, while being wealthy is more about having sustainable and lasting wealth. If you look at Yahoo Finance, you'll find being rich is about how much you earn. Being wealthy is about how long you could live exactly as you do without earning another dollar. Smart Asset says, someone who's rich may have cash available to spend on luxury goods or take expensive vacations. A wealthy person, on the other hand, might be more focused on increasing their net worth and creating a long-lasting financial legacy. And finally was Kiplinger, which states, being rich means adding more zeros to your bank account. Being wealthy is about living your life with zero regrets, zero jealousy, and focusing on what brings you joy and happiness. Looking at these definitions offered by the internet, rich tends to encompass having a high income or being able to spend a lot of money, whereas wealth is more about sustainability. This reminded me of a chapter in my favorite book about money, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. Chapter 9 of that book is titled, Wealth is What You Don't See. I think as physicians, we sometimes need to be reminded of that. As humans, we're built to observe and make judgments based on what we see. When we see someone driving a $100,000 Lamborghini, we think they must be rich. But that's only one data point about their financial situation. We really don't know anything else about this person. We don't know where he lives. We don't know how he grew up. We don't know what he does for work. After all, it's possible that he works at a Lamborghini dealership and is just taking a joyride with one of the dealer's cars. When I went to college near Los Angeles, there were many young people driving BMWs while living in tiny apartments. They spend a lot of money on their car, which means spending less money on other parts of their life. When we see someone living in a beautiful mansion, driving luxury cars, their kids are in private school, and we hear about their exotic vacations, we assume they're rich. We tend to judge people by what we see. However, we have no idea how much financial stress they may be under or how fragile their financial situation may be. We don't get to see what's in the person's bank or brokerage account. For all we know, they're living paycheck to paycheck. If they miss a paycheck, they may end up defaulting on their mortgage. But to the outside world, they look rich. Morgan Housel defines rich as current income. Income generates cash flow and allows someone to have money to spend. Someone who is able to purchase an expensive car has to have enough money and credit to actually make that purchase. In a society where talking about money is considered taboo, but where being successful often means making a lot of money, people can spend money to create the appearance of success. The ironic thing is that the more people spend, the less money they have. When people talk about wanting to be a millionaire, they're often thinking about all the things they would buy if they had $1 million. But what makes someone a millionaire is having $1 million, not having spent $1 million on stuff. Wealth is not visible to the casual onlooker. There are many examples of people where no one, not even close family and friends, were aware of someone's monetary wealth until after they died. Sylvia Bloom was a legal secretary in New York City. She lived a modest life and unfortunately died shortly after retiring in 2016. Her estate was valued at over $9 million, which came as a shock to her friends and relatives. She left the majority of her fortune to fund scholarships for students in need. And her story is not unique. Ronald Reed was a janitor and gas station attendant from Vermont, and he never earned a high income. Not only was he frugal, but he also invested his savings. He liked to invest in dividend-producing blue-chip stocks. When he died at age 92, his estate was worth over $8 million. He left $6 million to Brattleboro Memorial Hospital and $1.2 million to the local Brooks Memorial Library, along with other money for family members and caregivers. I'm not suggesting that a person should amass a large amount of monetary wealth and never spend the money while they're alive. The point I want to make is that you have no idea how much wealth someone has based solely on their lifestyle. And when you put this all together, you start to see something important. In reality, there is a trade-off between being rich and being wealthy. That trade-off shows up in everyday decisions. In many cases, you can't maximize both at the same time. Being rich is usually about what you can show right now. It's about the house, the car, the vacations, the lifestyle. Those things all require cash flow, and often a lot of it, every single month. The more expensive the lifestyle, the higher the fixed costs become, and the more dependent someone becomes on their income, continuing without interruption. Wealth, on the other hand, is built quietly. Wealth grows in the background. It's money that isn't spent. It's having savings, investments, and assets that create margin in your life. And the key difference is that wealth gives you options. A physician with a very high income and very high spending level may look rich, but if they can't afford to lose that income, even temporarily, then they're in a fragile situation. Meanwhile, someone with a more modest lifestyle and a high savings rate may have far more flexibility and security, even if no one would ever describe them as rich. Rich buys things. Wealth buys time, freedom, and optionality. So why do so many people, including physicians, chase being rich instead of being wealthy? Part of it is human nature. We're social creatures. We compare ourselves to those around us. We want to feel successful, respected, and secure. And because wealth is invisible, the easiest way to signal success is through spending. In medicine especially, I think there's a lot of subtle pressure. We go through years of delayed gratification. When we finally make a physician income, we want to enjoy some of that income and spend it. We also work really hard, and we feel like we deserve to treat ourselves for all that hard work. And to be clear, there is nothing wrong with enjoying your money. The problem comes when spending becomes the proof of success rather than the byproduct of a well-built financial life. Because here's the trap. Spending gives immediate validation, but it often increases long-term stress. A bigger lifestyle means bigger obligations. Bigger obligations can mean fewer options. And fewer options can quietly turn a high-income career into a golden cage. I definitely hear people talk about the golden handcuffs they have with working as a physician. What I found after years of conversations with physicians is that most doctors don't truly care about looking rich. What they really want is real wealth. They want to be able to walk away from a toxic job situation. They want the option to cut back clinically without worrying about paying the bills. They want to be able to say no. No to taking extra shifts, no to administrative nonsense, and no to work that drains them. They want flexibility when life changes, when family needs more time, or when burnout starts creeping in. That kind of freedom doesn't come from appearances. It comes from margin. It comes from having enough saved and invested that work becomes a choice, not a necessity at all costs. If you make a great income but feel trapped, it's likely that you're rich, but you're not wealthy. If your money reduces stress instead of creating it, that's real wealth. So I'll leave you with a simple personal audit. No judgment, just awareness. Ask yourself, if my income stopped tomorrow, how long could I maintain my current lifestyle? How much of my spending is for genuine enjoyment versus appearance? Do my financial decisions increase my options or reduce them? Does my money buy me peace of mind or bring more pressure? You don't need perfect answers. The value is in asking the questions. Being rich is visible. Wealth is quiet. Rich impresses strangers. Wealth protects your future. And over the long run, the goal isn't to look successful. It's to build a life where your money supports your values, your time, and your well-being. That's what being truly wealthy looks like. And that's what growing a wealthy mindset is really about. If you enjoyed this episode, I would love it if you could share it with your friends and colleagues. And now for the disclaimer. I am not a certified financial planner, accountant, or attorney, and nothing I say should be construed as professional investment, tax, or legal advice. This show is primarily for your education and entertainment. I am a physician, but I'm probably not your physician. So if you need any medical advice, please contact your own physician. Thank you.